is the Broncos versus the Storm, and the spinal shake-up that the world has been praying for the Broncos has finally come. It's not come in the circumstances that they'd like, though, as Milford goes to 1, Croft drops out of the 7 jersey into the 6, Dearden comes into 7. I mean, the Broncos are essentially all at sea at this point. They welcome back Tony Staggs, which is fantastic for them. He's a gun out wide, and he's likely probably going to get over this week because he's good at getting around the defenders, really good at putting that fend on and using that strength close to the line. It's just the case of the Broncos getting him that close to the line. Pangai Jr. out of the 8 and into the 12. Flegler goes in at prop. Corey Pakes comes in because Isaac Luke is suspended, regardless of whether it's an early guilty plea or not. Tyson Gamble comes in. Reece Kennedy also comes in. Teo drops out of the 11 shirt into the 17, and Offa Hengawi takes his place. That is a lot of changes.
Mate, I can hear your gears grinding in your head as you had to try and rattle out basically a new 17 there. As for Melbourne, no changes. There is a potential for Suliasi Vunivalu to come back, probably at the expense of Brenko Lee, and they'll push Moborovsky in at centre. But that is a game day decision, supposedly. Look, I said it last week. I didn't realise that Tessie New was injured, but I did say in the review last week. Go have a look for those who don't believe me, that it wouldn't surprise me if Milford went to fullback to bring Dearden in. I didn't think that they'd play Croft. I had projected that New would be in the 6 and Croft would be out. It is interesting to me, though, and I don't think it's something you mentioned. Tyson Gamble in the 14 hasn't played too many games. Believe he was a Tiger for a hot minute. Only had maybe a handful of games at NRL level, but he's in the 14 as the obligatory utility. Can play hooker, can play half, has had a moment or two at fullback, but nothing of real note. Look, I mean, this is the gimme. And I hesitate saying that this is a gimme, but we've seen so many teams come and go and have bad weeks and then come back and have good weeks, but the good weeks for Brisbane are still getting thumped. There's no real promise. There's no real future to look forward to. Seibold is officially now under threat, much to the behest of the critics on NRL 360. Four old men arguing at each other with canes and coffee. But look, I don't want to bag the Broncos out because these guys are playing their guts out. Payne Haas has been superb. Pangai Jr. when he's not suspended is superb. Pat Carrigan, one of the youngest captains in the competition, one of the underrated locks. Flegler's been great. Corey Pay's been thrown in the deep end. Off and Gowie still playing pretty well, but it's just not coming together. So again, I'll throw it to you for tips first. I need to figure out where the alternative Melbourne Storm line is. But, I mean, 13 plus is the easy one at $1.40. Yeah.
I mean, you get to a point where you can't even be mad at the Broncos anymore. It's literally you feel sorry for them. They're fielding the side that they can. I think we went through their roster the other day, and I think this is literally their only 17 that is not carrying some sort of knock. And even these players, based on the reports last week of Xavier Coates having a cork up the quad, Farnworth carrying a knock as well, Staggs just coming back from injury. They are the walking wounded at this point, and they've got to go out there and try and take on a team like the Melbourne Storm, who will just demolish teams. I mean, for me, I'm going to go highest scoring half, second half. You saw it last week against the Titans. the Storm can take a little while to click against those more dogged teams that play without a structure, is the nice way of putting the word disjointed. I think that the Broncos are going to come out with a point to prove early, but fade away towards the end. And the Storm have just got too much quality. It's interesting to see Justin Olam and Brenko Lee swapping sides. Lee was in the 4 last week, Olam in the 3. They've switched the sides around there. So clearly they're going to put Lee against Boyd. That's going to be interesting. So it wouldn't surprise me. Olam against Boyd. It wouldn't surprise me to see Olam getting over, just because he's such an explosive player. So I'm going to say Justin Olam anytime. And I'm not going to throw in another player because that was the mistake I made last week. So I'm just going to go Justin Olam anytime, and highest scoring half being the second half for me.
Yeah, look, I'd love to tell you what he's paying out there. Sportsbet haven't got the tries, well, the anytime try scorers up at the moment, at least not in all markets. We'll have a cheeky geese at same game multi. They're not there either. I do like your bet about the second half. Looking back at the last 5, the second half has been the highest scoring in the last 5 games when these two teams come together. Not necessarily so much so for the Storm in recent weeks, not in the last 2 weeks. They've split it. But, yeah, more often than not, the Storm are a second-half team. They will come together. I do like that tip. However, I'm not going to go that. I saw something in one of the gambling groups that I'm in this week, and it could be completely laughable, and it could ruin all credibility that I have, all that much credibility that I have. But there's a little bit of money for the Storm at -29.5. Now, they beat the Gold Coast last week by 36. They did, the 3 of the last 5 games against premiership contenders have been close. However, a lot of their games have been against potential premiership contenders. Start of the year against Manly, potential premiership contender. Round 2 against Cronulla, dogged win, but they always struggle against the Sharks. They've played Canberra twice, the Roosters, the Panthers, Newcastle, and Souths. The only other game against a bottom, not even a bottom half side per se, but just a team that we don't think is going to make finals, were the New Zealand Warriors 4 weeks ago. And the score was 50-6. So against bottom 4 teams, the Storm are currently 92-12 up, and for a -29.5 line, it is currently 325. And go on that, I will. I probably will add your second half as well, as a secondary bet, just to cover my losses for the best bet. But I do very much like the pick your own line, Storm -29.5 at 325. If you were to throw those two in the same game multi, for anyone interested, it comes out to $5 on the dot. I'm not saying 29.5 is a gimme. I'm saying it's really good value when you look at the 2 games the Storm have played against really inferior opposition. I should also point out that in 2 of the last 5 games against Brisbane, the Storm have won by 30 plus.
That does sound good. I'm tempted to push the boat out that far. I do like that one.